Welcome to This Explainer. I am seriously so excited you're here today because we're going to tackle one of the most frustrating, relatable problems in the world. Look, you know the vocabulary, you've studied the grammar for years, you can probably read an entire textbook without breaking a sweat. But the second a real live conversation starts, your mind just goes completely blank, you start furiously translating in your head, the panic sets in, and poof, all your confidence is just gone. Listen, if that sounds exactly like you, take a deep breath, because today, we're going to change all of that. First things first, I really want to validate that blank mind syndrome. Whether you're standing at a hotel check-in desk, sitting in a doctor's office, or staring down a hiring manager at a job interview, freezing up is incredibly, universally common. You are definitely not alone here. But here's the really great news. This is not some permanent flaw in your brain. It's a completely solvable problem. Actually, it just means you've been relying on the wrong muscles this whole time. So, here is our exact 30-day roadmap to fix this. We'll cover 1. The fluency gap. 2. The day 1 mindset. 3. A 15-minute daily routine. 4. How to use ChatGPT as your tutor. And finally, 5. Real-world roleplay. All right, let's dive right into section 1, the fluency gap. So there's this massive difference between studying English correctly and practicing it completely wrong. You see, most learners spend all their time stuck in passive learning. They read dialogues silently, they try to memorize these huge lists of vocabulary, they passively watch videos. And sure, all of that is valuable, but it is entirely passive. Reading silently doesn't train your mouth to actually move. To cross that fluency gap, you have to activate that vocabulary under pressure through active practice. Shadowing, speaking out loud, real-time role play, that is the stuff that actually builds spoken fluency. And this is exactly why we need a total mindset shift. Fluency lives in your mouth, not your eyes. You literally have to train your muscle memory. When you speak out loud, you're forcing something called active recall. You're teaching your brain how to grab a word out of your memory while under pressure and sequence it correctly into a sentence. You just can't get that from reading another textbook dialogue, you know? Which brings us perfectly to section 2, the day 1 mindset. If you're going to train your mouth to speak, you have got to let go of perfection. I love this idea. English is like riding a bicycle. Think about it. You absolutely cannot learn to ride a bike just by watching an explainer like this, right? You have to actually get on the bike. You have to embrace the wobbles. You are going to make small grammar mistakes. Maybe you use the wrong tense, or you totally forget an article. Ignore them. Seriously, the biggest mistake you can possibly make is letting the fear of those tiny little errors stop you from opening your mouth. Just start pedaling. Okay, moving on to section 3, your 15-minute daily routine. This is where it gets highly practical. We are breaking down that huge, intimidating goal of becoming fluent into a bite-sized, completely manageable daily habit. Here is your timeline. Stick to this simple structure every single day. You don't need hours of study, I promise. For minutes 1 to 3, just warm up by talking to yourself. Say out loud what you're doing or how you're feeling right now. Minutes 4 to 7, shadowing. Find a short video of a native speaker and repeat exactly what they say. Try to match their rhythm, their tone, everything. Minutes 8 to 10, grab 3 new vocabulary words and force yourself to use them in your own spoken sentences. And finally, from minutes 11 to 15, answer a simple question out loud, like, what did I do yesterday? And just summarize your practice. This trains your brain to think in English naturally, completely avoiding burnout. Let's jump into section 4, ChatGPT as your tutor. Now, I can already hear some of you asking, okay, but what if I don't have a human partner to practice this with? Well, enter your 24/7 AI conversation coach. You can literally program ChatGPT to be the ultimate practice partner. Just give the AI these specific prompts before you start, tell it to act as a native speaker friend, tell it to ask you only one question at a time so you don't get overwhelmed, ask it to correct your grammar gently, and, this is crucial, instruct it to always ask a follow-up question based on your answer. That right there creates a fluid back-and-forth dialogue that perfectly mimics a real conversation. And the absolute best part, there is zero fear of judgment. You can make as many mistakes as you want. All right, let's bring it all home in section 5, real-world roleplay. Let's take all of this daily practice and apply it to some real-world social friction points. When you're meeting someone new in a casual setting, let's say a coffee break at work, you want to keep your introduction remarkably simple. Start with a basic greeting, your name, and what you do. But please avoid the most common mistake English learners make, overloading the listener with your entire biography. They really don't need your whole life story right off the bat. They just need a simple point of connection. So once you've introduced yourself, your only goal is to focus on that natural back and forth flow. In casual settings, lean heavily on simple sentences. If someone asks how you are, just say, "I'm fine, thank you. How about you?" Asking questions back builds instant rapport. Remember, delivering simple sentences with genuine confidence is always more impactful than stumbling through some highly complicated memorized speech. Less is definitely more here. Now, what about those high-pressure scenarios, like a job interview? You're going to need a bit more structure, but you still don't want to sound like a robot. That is where the STAR method is an absolute game changer. It stands for situation, task, action, result. When an interviewer hits you with, "Walk me through a time you solved a problem," don't panic. Just naturally outline the situation you were in, the task you had to do, the specific action you took, and the result you achieved. Memorize that structure, not a word-for-word script. Patterns flex, scripts break. So this brings me to my final question for you. What is your English actually going to sound like in 30 days if you commit to this? I challenge you to start today. Seriously, spend 5 minutes introducing yourself out loud. Record it on your phone. Then I want you to listen back to it and completely, 100% ignore the mistakes. Don't judge yourself at all. Just acknowledge the effort and take that very first step toward true spoken fluency. Are you ready to stop reading about English and finally start speaking it? Get out there and start pedaling.